Hey everyone, Jake Sloan back with another video. Today I wanted to answer a few questions because I've gotten a lot the last few days as I've been flying my Mavic Air around in the frigid cold temperatures. How do you fly your drone in the cold? And how do you keep it running well in the cold? Because there's definitely something to think about when you're running around up near the Arctic Circle like I am, and it's always cold. Because if you waited to fly this thing till it's the temperatures that DJI says, I basically would only be able to fly for about 3 or 4 months of the year. So let's talk about flying drones in cold weather. To start off with, it's important to keep your batteries warm. These, when they get cold, stop producing as much voltage because LiPo batteries are essentially a chemical reaction that has to happen at a certain temperature. Obviously you don't want too much of that temperature because that'll cause problems, but keeping an eye on your voltage while you're flying, which is easy to do, is something that's very, very important. So keep an eye on these. Now to keep them warm, either keep them in your pockets or put them in a place where the heat is going on them in the car so that they stay warm there. I also recommend, if you're gonna be hiking for a long distance, like I do frequently, these little hand warmer things are fantastic. You can put a couple in your backpack, keep the inside contents of the backpack warm while you're hiking around, and then when you pull the drone out, everything's warm and great. The other problem is that if you're using an iPhone to control your drone while you're flying, the iPhone batteries tend to die. Sometimes taking one of these, attaching it to the back of the phone like that, will help keep the phone warm so that the battery doesn't die as quickly while you're running around in the cold. Another thing I always have with me is, and this one's actually giant, but is a battery backup or battery pack so that I can charge my phone, charge my controller, charge a lot of my small USB devices while I'm running around. This is a great one. There's lots of great ones out there, but having one of those with you is important because stuff does die faster, so keeping an eye on it is important. And knowing exactly how much battery power you have before you leave is important. The fact of the matter is that this thing has handled all of the temperatures I've thrown at it so far, which has been from -5, -6 Fahrenheit to 10 Fahrenheit, 11 Fahrenheit, all well below what DJI says it can do. The key is that I'm making sure to keep the flights fairly short and fairly close to me, and I'm keeping an eye on the battery temperature. So an important thing to do is when you start the drone up and you put it outside, make sure the battery's warm, turn it on so that it starts discharging, and then I start the motors by doing the sticks down into the center, and then let the motors run for 30 seconds or so, and then take the drone up and let it hover a couple of feet off the ground, but let it hover for a minute. That starts to discharge the battery, which gets the battery temperature up into the safe range, which is about 20 C or so. Any lower than that, and you're gonna have drastically shorter run time. If you can keep the battery temperature up around 20, 22, 23, 24 C, you get almost the same amount of flight time out of one of these drones as you would in a normal temperature time, or what most people consider to be a normal temperature, but it works really, really well. So the key is keep your batteries warm. That's important. Not too hot, but warm. Keep them warm. Room temperature is good. Another thing to consider is when you're flying these around in the winter, in the snow, is you don't want to let them sit still very long, especially if you're flying in the snow. You want to keep them moving. That allows them to not get snow buildup on the top or anywhere on the drone, so that if you keep them moving, they don't have to move fast, but just move a little bit. It'll keep the snow off of the equipment. Another thing you'll probably need or want is something to take off from, so a little landing pad or something that you can set on the ground, set the drone on so it's not sitting in the snow, and then take off from there is tremendously helpful. I have had it before where these have gotten all gummed up with snow, or my gimbal's gotten snow in it and stuff like that, and that does cause problems in the long run of the flight. The gimbals don't tend to like that very much. If you don't have anything like that, then look for an area of snow that you can pack down and pack it hard and smooth and flat so that you can set the drone down there. It has something hard to sit on that it's not going to sink down into the snow. And then of course you're going to return to that spot when you land. The fact of the matter is you can fly these drones beyond what DJI says you can at your own risk. Don't come crying to me if your drone does something weird in the cold, but you can fly them at colder temperatures if you're smart about it. Keep the batteries warm, keep the drone warm. Don't let it very far from your position because the flight times could be shorter depending on how cold it is or depending on how the drone's performing. And always keep an eye on your battery temperature while you're flying and your battery voltage because it will drop faster than normal. Another thing you consider when you're flying in the cold is your forward speed. Because most of these drones are designed to have airflow run through them when you're moving forward to cool the electronics, which is good, but a lot of forward speed in extremely cold temperatures will cool the electronics down really, really far and even too much. And so slowing down your forward speed will help the drone fly better and perform better in the cold. And last but not least, it's important to have good hat, good gloves, good clothes, good jacket, good boots. Dress yourself warm for being outside because while you can fly the drone from inside your car, it does cut down on the range you have and it does cut down on your visual line of sight because you're in a big metal box. So it does interfere somewhat with the signal. Not a lot when you're close by, but if you start to push it out a little further, you'll notice some signal degradation pretty quickly. So I dress like I do in my videos because I work outside a lot in the winter and I'm somewhat used to the really, really cold temperatures. So for me to dress for short periods of time to go outside, I just generally don't bundle up that much. But if I'm going to be out and flying for 20 or 30 minutes, then I'm going to wear some gloves that have the touchscreen stuff built into the fingers, which really helps. I'm going to wear a hat. I'm going to wear some good boots so my feet don't get cold. And I'm going to wear a good jacket just so that I can stand out there and be comfortable while I'm flying and enjoy it so I don't feel like I'm being miserable. As always, I hope this video helped you. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below and let me know. Thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing, and I'll see you again soon on the next video.